Keith Azopardi used the final 2 hours of his response to the Chief Minister's motion on the Principal Auditor's report to highlight the Auditor's authority and powers under the Constitution.
The Principal Auditor, even if we disagree, was not criticising policy. He was looking at the administration of policy, which on any view is permissible, even if you take the view that what applies is the carbon copy English position. So, however you look at it, when the Principal Auditor is looking at the value for money parts of the report, he is looking at effectiveness of the administration of the policy. He's not saying there should not be overtime paid. He's not saying there should not be ex gratia payments made. He's looking at the effectiveness of the administration of that policy. He's not saying you shouldn't allocate housing. He's looking at the effectiveness of the administration of that policy. He's looking at things which are well within what he can do. And so it is important not to conflate Parliament with a government department, which it is not plainly so constitutionally. And therefore, if the Principal Auditor has expressed a view about whether there should or should not be a Public Accounts Committee, which would be a committee of this Parliament and not a government department, and does not engage policy of a department of the government, it's perfectly proper.
The opposition accused the Chief Minister of trashing the auditor to create confusion about payments, contracts and the waste and abuse which he said is now a burning, growing catalogue.
At the heart of all this Public Accounts Committee is the reality that the Principal Auditor can comment. This is not an issue of policy and therefore cannot be ultra vires. And it's because it's about Parliament. And so that really is the end of that issue. Because once we realize that this is not a government department, and it really doesn't take too much realization to see that this is not a department, then, of course, he can comment. In the context of that, whether they got a job, whether they didn't get a job, if in the context of all that, the Principal Auditor has raised questions as to whether there are conflicts of interest, he's doing his job. He's just doing his job. There's nothing wrong with that. So, enough of the smokescreen. Let's have the proper answers to those questions. We're going to vote against this amendment. We're going to vote against the motion when it comes. Then it's beyond the pale and unacceptable because it comes against the background of other simmering scandals, obvious from the evidence heard in the McGrail inquiry, and we will see what the conclusions of that are. It goes well beyond an attempt to rewrite the narrative in the auditor's report. It's the use of state power to squash criticism and silence individuals so that they can get on with the unquestioned use of power and taxpayer money. It's an unconstitutional abuse of power by the government and a muscling down on the former Principal Auditor.
Parliament resumes next Thursday at 11.
On its own, state power